Hi, I wasn't sure if I was going to do a follow-up video for Age of Attraction because the latter part of the season just got very, very dumb in a way that wasn't even fun. Like there were certain aspects that were so ludicrous in the front half that it still had a net entertainment value, I guess, and like had a net foundation to talk about and opine on. But the second half was just bad. It was a car wreck that I couldn't look away from, but I didn't want to bring more attention to, I guess. The season ended, and in the earlier part of this month, they had the reunion of sorts on the Vile Files, where it was nearly 3 hours and 14 million ads in it. And I was like, well, if Nick Vile already made this much money off of me, I might as well get a few dollars back for myself, especially because I'm buying a house. Your girl's almost a homeowner, but also so expensive. I was doing a walkthrough meeting today, actually, and basically as we walked around, they were like, yeah, and you just, it's not bad. You just need to spend an extra $1,000 here. It's fine. And maybe $2,000 here. Yeah, you can get that done for $5,600. That's no problem. Yeah, get a deck, $20,000. It's fine. So if you can exploit this bullshit for money, so can I, damn it. But yeah, the back end is not fascinating in the same way I think the front end is. It's just gross. The grossness gets compounded when we get onto the reunion because it feels like a bunch of people trying to gaslight me, the audience, as well as all the young people that decided, spoiler, that they didn't want to be a part of this bullshit anymore. They didn't want to be in this downside relationship, and then basically calling them wrong or bad or whatever, misleading, a liar, a clout chaser, whatever, because they didn't want to be a part of this shit no more. Even though, how are you a clout chaser when everybody on purpose joined a reality TV show? Like, what the f? But again, because I'm moving, I don't really have time to prepare a different video. I still haven't packed, as you can see. I still got a bunch of bullshit in here. I don't plan to do a heavy script on this because it's just me talking about bullshit. But yeah, that later half, the true nefariousness of the show was at its peak. I think partially because the back half is just boring. It's the part of the reality show where people are meeting families, meeting friends, and it's the final stretch, like what decision will be made, But also because, I guess the one downside of the bar slightly being above Love is Blind is that because no one's getting married, whatever decision you make isn't really that substantial as far as like, if you leave with them, you can break up tomorrow. Like, it doesn't matter. It just feels like a build up to bullshit. And then later we find out basically everybody broke up. Shocker. For all the reasons that you would expect them to break up in this scenario. But before we get to that, hello, hi. New around here, welcome. Not new around here. What is up, home skillet biscuit? Here's Russet. Hi, Russet. Good girl. Thank you. She has to sit in here because she's on timeout because she was yelling at everyone that walked by the window. What have you guys been up to? I recently made a VOD channel for my Twitch. There's only one video on there, and I forgot. I should mention that in today's video so that you guys have subscribed. We have one video of me playing squirrel with a gun. Probably know what the game is about. And I think it'll be a fun place for VODs to live off in infamy if you aren't able to make it to when we stream, because I stream kind of sporadically. I don't really have a schedule, and there's no point of setting one right now while I'm moving because I won't keep it. But yeah, follow me on YouTube at NotKennieTV as well as on Twitch as NotKennieTV. So without further ado, let's send it over to an ad so I can pay for sodding. Oh, adulthood. Growing up really is realizing that the things that are fun aren't fun anymore. What do you mean I need money to put grass there? My home is grassless. I have no grass, and I need to pay someone to roll out grass like a carpet in a thing called sodding, I found out. And that takes money, so send it away. Hello everyone, this is Kennie, and today's video is sponsored by Lalo. Innovative, beautiful, and effective adult toys. I've been singing their praises for a while now. Sponsored and unsponsored. I've purchased my own, and they make bangers, okay? They're constantly innovating, constantly coming out with new, interesting ways to indulge yourself or to be able to share a beautiful, pleasurable moment with a partner. And speaking of which, their newest innovation is called the Lalo Boomerang, which is specifically for that. It's a two-sided design that can be used internally or externally, and more importantly, can be used as an exploratory and pleasurable experience with your partner. Whether you're experimenting with new dynamics, changing it up for foreplay, or simply exploring each other, the boomerang is a perfect way to really spice up any of the sensations. And Lalo's philosophy goes into all their products, which is basically pleasure is pleasure. There's nothing gross about it. There's nothing immoral about it. It's a beautiful, educational, and exploratory thing. 16 vibration intensities, 10 different vibration patterns, 100% waterproof, and they have an app if you want to control it that way. You can get real exploratory. Have you ever done DJ on one of them bad boys? And if you would like to check out Lalo, feel free to click on the link down below. Use code Kennie20 to get 20% off all products, and that coupon is stackable with other current discounts. Big thanks again to Lalo for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on to the debauchery, baby. Now, this is the later part of the season. All of the couples are together at this point. As you know, Jorge and Vanel are already gone because he's an asshole. They don't get back together. They're done. But this is the part of the season where people start introducing their partners to the people that are important in their lives, including but not limited to family, friends, children, parents, cousins, the like. Everyone introduces someone, but for some reason they don't leave in a meeting between Chris and Leah's sister-in-law, I believe. I only know that that existed because of the reunion, but for some reason, I guess for time constraints and maybe there wasn't really anything juicy in it, they clipped it. So that's what happened. But everybody else is moving towards meeting important people in their lives. Again, they're living together, getting to know each other, trying to figure out what a relationship may look like if they decide to take that next step. And this is where most of the innate issues that come with such a large age gap start to arise, particularly for fan favorite, if that's what you want to call it, Pfeiffer and Derek. Up until this point, Pfeiffer and Derek have been pretty drama-free in comparison to the other couples. You don't really see them on camera that much, but you start to see them a little more as the doubts that Pfeiffer starts to feel, starts to bubble to the surface. All of which are incredibly valid and are valid enough, I'd say, to not even do this. Her main issue is that to be with Derek, she would have to uproot her entire life in Seattle and move to Texas because he has kids, he has to stay near them. She is about to finish her contract at work so she can make the move. But she's like, I feel like I'm sacrificing so much for this. I am compromising on my values, one of which is I don't want to change my life, what I want, like moving for a man. That is a level of autonomy that she didn't want to give up, and she's always said she wouldn't want to. But this circumstance has made her realize that if she were to make the move, she has to be ultimately honest with herself. Like she can say, oh, you know, it's fine, I can move, it's not that big of a deal, I can find stuff to do in Texas, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, she is moving for him, and she never wanted to do that. She's 23. This is the time to figure out her own shit, have a life of her own, build a life of her own. Now she's in a position where she's expected to pack up everything for some nigga that's double her age with kids. They end up having a dinner with her parents and him, and that's where they found out the age difference and whatnot. And her parents are more supportive than I would be. I guess they understand, like, you know, she's an adult, she's gonna make whatever decisions she's gonna make at the end of the day, but they do seem more cool with it than I would be. The father in particular, he seems like really, like, he's crying, he's like, oh my God, you know, this is so nice, I feel happy. And I'm like, okay, all right. Whereas the mother seems a bit more cautious. She's like, oh, think about, like, he's gonna be 60 one day and 80 way before you would be. And she's like, yeah, I've thought about that. I'm thinking about things. Pfeiffer ends up meeting his cousin, and she's closer to her age than his age. She's probably in her late 20s, give or take. I don't remember off the top of my head. And she's skeptical, but in a similar way, she's like, they're grown. I am close to my cousin and I support you, but it is a choice. I'm not going to bore you. I'm going to speed to the commitment ceremony where they do agree to commit to each other, specifically her moving to him to help him and be around him. They do have, not an argument, but definitely a heated discussion, a tense, I think tense is the best word, discussion about her anxieties about, again, compromising her values. And essentially he says something I think he intended to be supportive, I guess, but he's basically like, I want you to make this in a good headspace. I need you to do this from a peaceful mindset, I guess. But it comes off very much so you're having some really strong emotions and it's a lot. Can you like have that over there? And I don't really want to acknowledge that. Like, it's gonna be bad if you think of it badly kind of vibe. She takes it probably the way that I would have, which is like,
flourish, like just being real. So
that's okay. But needless to say, they're at the commitment ceremony. They decide to leave off together. She agrees to move to Texas for him. But we find out in the reunion that they break up for all of the reasons that they should break up. And I'm happy. I'm proud of her. She didn't even come to a reunion. She said, I'm not doing this shit. She decided to go to Japan for her birthday, and now she's dating somebody else who's closer to her age, as far as I know. Good. What you look like 23 uplifting your entire life for someone damn near double your age? The so you can take care of some kids. Like, what the hell? Okay. Teresa and John. So Teresa and John, as we've discussed in the first half, she feels so much shame around being with this young man. And like I said before, I don't understand how you can have that much shame and then still go on a fucking show called Age of Attraction. You knew when you were signing up for a show that that was the premise. Because some people in my comments were saying like, well, maybe she didn't know. There's so many steps. There's so many steps that go into the process of participating in a reality show. Let's say she didn't know. She knew he wasn't 54 years old. She knew he wasn't near her age. Look at him. The oldest I thought his ass was 32. That's still too fucking young for him, arguably. That's still 22 years. So she knew what the fuck she was doing. She was like, I'm cool with being with this young ass man until I have to acknowledge that I want to be with this young ass man and what that says about me. She spends the whole fucking show going over like, no, I'm not ashamed of his age. It's just like how everybody else will react to her age. And there's such a double standard about women dating younger men, but older men can date young women all the time and no one says boo. And I'm like, bitch, two things. One, they do say boo. At least I do. I don't know about everybody else. I say something when an old ass niggas is dating. It's crazy. I think it's weird. Again, I don't know what y'all have in common. How did y'all even meet? The fuck? If you have so much in common with someone that is drastically different age than you, and they're in their early 20s and you're 38, it's weird. I don't give a fuck. That's how I feel about Andrew and Libby. Fucking weird. He's a weirdo. He's even weirder in this back half. He was weird as fuck in the first half. He's even weirder here. No, it's not just about how other people will react to it or how her children will react to it. She feels bad for being attracted to a young man, but not bad enough to not go on a show where you're going to publicly tell everybody how much you're attracted to this young man. So that comes up when she ends up actually meeting his mom and sister. They ask questions about like, how would this work children wise? And he's like, well, I don't even want to have children. She has children, but I don't want to have any. So that's like a non-issue for us. But notably, they don't say how old she is. And that is partially, I would say largely, because she doesn't want them to know how old she is. This also continues on when he meets her children and they ask how old is he? And she doesn't want to tell them because she says, I want you to meet him how I met him. I met him without knowing that. And I don't want that to taint or to color how you feel about him. I just want you to get to know him and what a great guy he is.
So can you tell us about his age?
No. I mean, I can, but I don't want to.
And again, instead of just admitting that it's still something that makes her feel uncomfortable and ashamed, I won't belabor the point that, I mean, it's something to, I think, feel weird about the fact that she's dating someone younger than her oldest son. But beyond that, it's this weird, like, I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed. I just don't want people to know, and I'm not ashamed. And it puts John in this incredibly fucked up position because if you're gonna go through the process of dating such a young person, there's no way for him to do anything, to quell your fears. He can't do anything. He can't power himself up to get older. He is the age he is, and you knew that. You knew he was significantly younger than you when you started dating. And instead of just acknowledging, hey, I don't think that's something I can get past, she's like, I'd rather project all these feelings and anxieties about my age onto him because I feel ashamed. Like she's ashamed of him because she's ashamed of herself, if that makes sense. I'll talk about it more because it comes up more explicitly in the reunion, but she feels icky that she likes him. And who wants to be with someone who feels icky being with you? Like, that sounds like hell. And she's also very defensive of her decision to not tell her kids, because there's a section at the end of the show before they do the commitment where all of the couples come together, and she's basically saying how she didn't tell her children. And Leah, who is weird and I don't like her, but she was real on this one. She was like, I find it strange that you didn't tell your kids. Like, it's the central fact of doing this to see how things will work with that knowledge being out there. Like, why are you ashamed of it? If you're gonna do it, why be ashamed of it? Teresa gets very defensive. She's like, no one can tell me when I'm gonna tell my kids, blah, 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 blah. And then she starts doing these, maybe I am easily triggered, but it seemed in reaction to Leah, a black woman, that she didn't want Leah to come for her, and it didn't sit right with me. I'm like, where you get this come for you shit when you talking to a black woman? She a fucking weirdo. She's a weirdo. You're like, do not come for me. Where the fuck does black scent come from, bitch? Anyway, long story short, they end up leaving together, committing together. And at the commitment ceremony, she's like, I wasn't ashamed. I was afraid. Same shit. Afraid of what other people would think. Same shit. Afraid about what my kids would think. Same shit. Sounds like a shame to me. Long story short, they break up soon after they leave the show because of course the fuck they do. She feels ashamed of being with you. Next up, we have Andrew and Libby. They meet her friends and his friends at the same time. And that... Look at these niggas. They look fucking dumb. Honestly, it looks like some motherfuckers that was on one of them chat rooms on To Catch a Predator and they just outside and be like, we're not doing nothing. We just came to Dave and Buster's. Chill out. My ass. Like, they look like they're in high school, and his friends are in their mid to late 30s because they're fucking adults. Her friends are giggling and shit. One's wearing like heart shit. She look like she's in Cat's Eye. His friends are like, oh, we knew you was gonna end up with a blonde who's in her early to mid 20s. They even have a bet. And the only reason the other one lost is because he had to bet opposite, even though he knew he was gonna lose. His friends ended up talking to him later and they were like, let me guess, she's mature. Fuck ass nigga, gross ass nigga. It's so bad. He just starts going on because they have questions about him and his kids. Like, well, how's that gonna work with your kids? And he was like, well, I'm not trying to turn her into a stepmom because honestly, it's more like a big sister thing. Nigga is weird. But they end up leaving the show together. Right. Yeah. Leah and Chris. Okay, she ends up meeting Chris's mother, and like I said before, they don't really show her person, her sister-in-law. I don't know why. I don't understand why that was left out. Maybe it would have presented a more even representation of Leah, but regardless, Chris's mom seems to be quite supportive. She's like, oh, I didn't realize you were 41, even though the bitch looks 41 to me. The only one I got super wrong was Vanelle. And that was because her makeup was too 2016-y and it aged her. But once her makeup was off, I was like, oh yeah, that's someone in their late 20s. But Leah looks 40 something. I'm like, what the fuck? She smiled too hard. I think that's it. I don't know how much I really said in the first half about how weird she is. I said she was clingy, but she is weird. She smiled with this tendon down here, like, damn, bitch, you ain't pull something? The fuck? But once she's up from the table, there's no stress from the mom, like, oh, you shouldn't be with this woman or anything. But completely without any pressure from the mom, Chris just starts crying. He's like, is it supposed to be this hard? I'm not sure. Like, is it the pressure from doing productions? I'm just trying to keep things together, or just not wanting to hurt people's feelings or being seen as the bad guy. But he's just breaking down. He's like, is this how a relationship is supposed to go? Like, everything was good until we moved into the same space. And it all boils down to, at least according to him, that she is mad clingy. They don't really show them on camera a whole lot. We just have those few scenes that we talked about earlier that's supposed to be indicative of her being very clingy, but he seems particularly unable to deal with at least her always around his space. I do think it boils down to him not liking her that much, or if he likes her not enough to do like what is expected of him, that big level of commitment, at least for the cameras. But damn, if it's causing you to cry, like, nigga, go home. Like, if it's breaking you down that bad, where you crying to your mama like, I don't know, is it supposed to be like this? Like, no, y'all just met. is this hard and y'all just met? The fuck? Anyway, she's like, are you happy or not? And they kind of leave it on a cliffhanger, but luckily they do end up not leaving together. She's like, oh, I want to commit to him, but he's like, no, like, this is bad. This is a mess. Like, no. She says this at the end of the show as well as in the reunion, where she's like, you know, I'm not going to beg anybody to be with me, which I think doesn't put a check into the super clingy box, but I could see her being the type of person that's like overwhelming to a person that doesn't want that particular type of stimuli. Or maybe it wouldn't be that big of a problem if he just liked her more. I don't know. But I'm happy they broke up because that shit was weird. That whole relationship was overwhelming for me as a viewer, and it was ass. And finally, Vanessa and Logan. They meet Logan's mom and dad, and only then do I realize that that man is Wasian. It's so clear. Once you see his mom, you're like, oh yeah, you are Wasian, aren't you? Oh, and they're nice, if not a bit skeptical about them, particularly because, you know, if they are to have children her age, she's getting up there. Logan, in response to that, is like, I don't even know if I really want to have kids, so that's less of an issue for me. But they were like, oh, we didn't know that. You used to say you wanted 4 or whatnot. But he is an only child, so they would hope that he would have children. But at the end of the day, the decision is up to him whether or not he wants to be with her or not. So they're not really pushy in any way, but they, you know, have reasonable concerns about this. Also, Vanessa ends up introducing him to her friend slash co-worker or employee. I believe she runs a salon, so this would be her employee, I guess. And this woman is closer to age to Logan than to Vanessa. But they meet and they can't help it. They start, I don't think bickering is the right word. I think the friend called them mini fights, and I think that is very appropriate. They be fighting.
Okay.
Let's tell her our story first.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so we.
Tell her how we met.
You want to go?
No, I'm an interrupter.
Yeah, she
Okay,
interrupts me a
go
lot.
ahead.
And I don't even remember what it was about, but even as a viewer, I'm like, oh my God, I would be so uncomfortable if I was the friend having to sit here and listen to y'all it seems like on the edge of popping off on each other. Like, what the fuck? And so the friend brings that up as a concern. She's like, hey, y'all were about to go at it and it makes me uncomfortable. Also, I've watched you as a friend and this is the type of dynamic that you tend to go for. And those relationships have been a fucking mess. I don't know what that says if we're going to perpetuate that. And even when the friend is bringing it up, it's not like Vanessa is disagreeing with her. She's like, oh yeah, we fight all the time. We are at each other's throats all the time. And yeah, it's very similar to all my past relationships. And you know, those didn't work out. They were really toxic or whatever. I don't know what to do, man. And then they fucking get engaged at the commitment ceremony. Yes, to be married. Bullshit. This is some bullshit. But okay. I'm gonna cap off this video talking about the reunion. I'm gonna speed through it because that was 3 hours of bullshit. It was 3 hours of bullshit. Pfeiffer didn't come, like I said. She was on vacation for her birthday. Good for her. And the whole fucking segment about Derek and Pfeiffer, they were trying to gaslight me into thinking she was in the wrong to saying she didn't want to do this shit. Girl, fuck all of y'all. She deserved to leave this bullshit because she didn't want to do it. She was like, yeah, that's fucking dumb. Why the hell would I do that? And didn't say nothing, didn't come to the reunion. She said, that's it. I'm fine. Bet. Goodbye. Period. And it was also awkward because, like, why are we talking about her and she's not there? And Derek didn't seem to really know how to navigate that either because you're like, she's not here. But everybody else came. And the couples that are still together as of the reunion are Logan and Vanessa somehow, and Andrew and Libby. Ugh. Both relationships are still long distance. It's been about 9 months since they wrapped by the time this reunion was filmed. And I think maybe that is what's keeping those two relationships together. I think that if Libby was around him more and really interacted with him in his day-to-day life, in his hometown or in the town that he lives, she would realize how fucking weird that dude is. He's weird as fuck. It's easy to be like, oh, he's such a great guy when you're not there because, again, his friends know him as the nigga that talks to bitches 22 to 25. They know him. They bet money and won the money because he's the nigga that dates bitches 22 to 25 and blonde. And then she's like in there trying to defend him where she's like basically like, it's not like he liked me because of my age. It's because we met and had a connection and we liked each other and then we found out, like, how would he know? Bitch, they had a bet. Did you see the episodes that we saw where he said that his go-to is a bitch that's 20 to 25 blonde and that like a chicken sometimes when I get very upset. It's like, what the fuck? Andrew says something about he didn't want to date someone who has kids or was divorced. You're 38 and you have kids and were divorced. Nigga, what the fuck? As far as Logan and Vanessa, they still together, and I do think it's partially because they're not face to face all day. Even the way that they talk about their relationship, even now, sounds like they constantly at each other's throats still, but it's through the phone. So I guess that helps. I don't know. If them motherfuckers actually get married, it would truly surprise me, especially if they move in and everything and still want to get married. It would surprise me. But 5 engagements and no marriage, she's never been married, is a bad batting average. So she might go through with it just so that she can. Vanilla and Jorge, it's very weird. They're weirdly trying to get them back together the entire time and trying to make Jorge seem like a rational person. And fuck that nigga. And Vanilla, I'm happy she's away from that bullshit. And they don't seem to be like talking again. He's still going on to the whole semantics of whether or not it's celibacy over abstinence, but you're not celibate, you're abstinent. It's like, nigga, fuck off. Her not having sex with you, her not giving you pussy is non-negotiable, bitch. Stop looking for like semantic leeways and loopholes that you can get through to some pussy. And he's still fucking doing that shit on the stage. God. They also talk about the threatening dude. The more they talk about it, the more it sounds like a man having a mental health episode that Jorge escalated and probably made her even less safe than if he would have just ignored it, because every woman knows don't engage with some raging lunatic on the fucking street. You just smile and ignore, or don't even smile, don't even acknowledge, you just go so you don't get shot. But instead, he wanted to prove this as an opportunity that I protect mine. I ain't gonna do that. You know, fucking idiot. And then just end up getting stabbed or some shit. And now what? He also still weird about the hiding the kids thing. He pulls a Teresa and he's like, no, I wasn't hiding it. You know, I'm not hiding it. I'm just hiding it. I'm not ashamed. I'm just ashamed. And I didn't want people to know. It's just like, stop. Speaking of John and Vanessa, they spend a good chunk of wasting my time. Basically, they break up soon after taping for all the reasons that you would suspect, because Teresa felt very uncomfortable about the age thing, especially when she went to dinner with him and I think another castmate, and she said they made me feel very uncomfortable about my age. And as I understand it, he just got tired of having the same fucking conversation about the age. I can't do anything about it. And she would also say to him something along the lines of, I feel gross being with you. I feel icky being with you. She denies that she said that, but that sounds like some shit she would say because that's how she feels. It's pretty evident in how she goes about the entire thing. It just felt like they were having this conversation over and over and over. And he's like, well, I don't want you to be with someone that makes you feel icky, so I won't be with you. Like, this is exhausting. Basically, she goes into this whole thing about how he ghosted her. It's hard to really know what happens because it's very clear that John is trying to not say anything negative or badmouth her during this entire thing. So he's just going like, okay. The entire time he's just like, okay. And then we all supposed to sit there and let him basically be berated for reacting appropriately to the bullshit. Why would you want to be with someone who is constantly saying how uncomfortable and how gross they feel being with you and how the world perceives your relationship? He said, the age difference isn't a problem to me unless you make it a problem, and you keep making it a problem. I can't do this shit anymore. And so he broke up with her ass, or they broke up, or whatever. Like, it's a bunch of bullshit. I'm feeling like, yeah, I get why he broke up with her ass, and I'm being gaslit by everybody else that's like, well, I don't think you were taking accountability for how she felt. Fuck her and her feelings, bitch. Or maybe I'm just being ageist. If I am, you know, I'll grow eventually, but not today. Girl, fuck you. The final section was Leah and Chris, which also felt like a bunch of gaslighting to me. It felt like a lot of people like jumping down his throat for the same reasons they were kind of jumping down John's throat. It felt like the entire reunion was jumping down the young people's throats for being apprehensive or uncomfortable with the entire thing, which is bullshit. Essentially, she's like, you didn't like me the entire time. I asked you if you liked me and you didn't like me and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I did like you, but there was a lot of issues that I was going through and blah, 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 blah. I was struggling with production. I was struggling with what I wanted, living with the person, blah, blah, blah. And she's like essentially kind of reacting to a lot of the people's clingy read of her. And maybe she's not clingy. Maybe if we saw everything on their interactions, we wouldn't feel that way. Who knows? Again, this is an edited show. But based off of the information that we see, I don't think he liked her either, but I think he was trying to figure out what to do and whether or not he wanted to go through with the experience experience. Again, he'd never been in a relationship as serious as having someone living in his space. So he's like, is this hard because living with another person is hard, or is it hard because I don't want to live with this person? And then they kind of try to do a gotcha, I guess, towards him because he said something about wanting to be on reality TV, insinuating that he only joined and stayed on the show not because of Leah and liking her, but because he wanted to be on reality TV. And I don't understand how that is your complaint when everyone wanted to be on reality TV. I don't get it. Sometimes that's a gotcha on shows like Love is Blind because of something as serious as getting married. Like, you gotta wanna get married to get married. But if you wanna get on a show and date somebody for a while, that's no risk, really. You all wanted to be on a reality show. Especially for the young people. What are they fucking up? And they also announced that he's going to be on Perfect Match. I never watched Perfect Match, so I don't know how that goes, but good luck to him. But yeah, that's basically everything that happened on the reunion. They also say that there's going to be a second season and that they're doing casting. They even do a casting call in the midst of the 3-hour podcast, I guess between the 48 ads. Whether we like it or not, there's a season 2 coming, and I'll probably watch it because I love trash. It's hard. It's a hard way to live, loving garbage. But that's the gist. Let me know what you guys think, if you saw the later half of the season or if you saw the reunion on the Vile Files. Are your opinions completely different from mine? That's totally fine. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to completely agree with me. You can feel completely different about it, and you can put those down in my comments section. Or if you feel the same, you're like, yo, I really saw you, you saw me, we saw each other, even though I don't know you like that. Put that in the comment section. It's all down, it's down there. Oh, and follow my VOD channel again. Okay, that's all. Thanks. Bye.